What's up, everybody? I'm Scott,
I'm Jason.
and you're listening to Liquid Carnage. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. It's good to hear your voice. It's been a week. It seems like these weeks go, by sometimes really fast and other times slower than molasses in January, man.
I tell you what, man, it is the dog days of summer here in Arizona.
Yeah.
We have now officially become the hottest summer on record for the great state of Arizona.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
it's a
Uh,
bitch, man. It's hot.
yeah. Yeah. And there's no let up either. I mean,
No,
it just keeps coming.
there's
You
no
think that
monsoons in sight. I think we got five. We had a monsoon build over the weekend. It spit rain by my house for 2 minutes, and that was it, and nowhere else in town.
Oh gosh, yeah, we didn't even get that. I mean, we're still dry, so oh
God,
well.
the worst part about that is it spends all day building, so that humidity comes with it, and you get no relief.
Hey, you know what though? Don't listen to any of the scientists, man. Global warming is a myth, man. That's
No,
a
it's
total
not. Yeah,
total myth. Don't even believe all that stuff. It's don't even worry about it.
I'm not going to listen to science, Jason. I think we all know I'm going to listen to conspiracy theorists and say
Yes,
there's a weather machine out there
exactly.
that is dictating our weather right now. They are
I,
forcing us to be miserable.
I mean, considering that the world is flat anyways, I
That's
mean,
true.
I don't even know why this is even an issue.
Did you ever watch that movie? You probably didn't because this isn't your up your lane, but it's kind of a fun one. Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
It's where like the teenager, they like the stereotypical teenagers go and rent this cabin. All these random things start happening to them. It's because there's this secret government group below the cabin
Yes, I
that
have seen that.
has to keep, make sure they have certain sacrifices so the world doesn't come to an end from the demons.
Yes, I do remember that. I do remember that.
I feel like maybe that's what 2020 is. It's like we're just one giant episode of Cabin in the Woods, and just bad things just keep happening because the sacrifices have to keep getting made, and it's getting more and more brutal as the year goes on.
Well, and I just read in the news. I'm from Alaska, and I guess the government is going to be opening up the Alaska Wildlife National Wildlife Refugee or a refugee refuse,
Mm-hmm.
and is basically going to open that up to companies to be able to lease it for drilling oil.
Uh-huh. That's
So
not
it's a
good.
million, yeah. So it's a million acres of protected land for polar bears and other animals, and now they're going to let big companies come in and start drilling oil for, um, I guess for business, I guess. But I'm thinking, wow, that is a quite a risk they're taking with our environment because we already have a bunch of problems with our polar bear up in Alaska, anyways, because they have no more frozen water.
Yeah.
Everything is melting up there, so now they're going to take away a refuge um, that could protect them. I don't know. I don't
I
I
don't know.
don't understand
Well,
this whole green life and how some people just don't believe it. They
yeah.
don't believe it all.
I don't know if you've read, but they're trying to start drilling for uranium in the Grand Canyon now too. And the Indian tribes around it, the Navajo and the Wallapai, are up in arms because that's literally one of the wonders of the world, 7 wonders of the world, and we're trying to uh, make money off that someone profit from uranium off that. It's not okay.
Yeah, like I mean, it just seems like that every all these decisions seem to be totally financial based with no consideration for whether or not it's in the best interest of our planet. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand that. Like, I mean, like I remember, I don't know if you remember a few years ago, but everything was being cracked down on the coal miners of West Virginia,
Yeah.
and so all these regulations were saying that if you're going to produce coal, you've got to do it clean and you got to do all
Can you
that
produce
stuff.
coal clean? I mean, that sounds like a paradox almost. Or
Yeah, I guess what it meant is you had to like filter out the emissions.
mm-hmm.
And so the coal miners were up in arms, and oh my gosh, and I guess the coaling industry had about 80,000 to 90,000 employees in it. And so when the current president came into to office, he basically was going to get rid of all those regulations and get the coal miners back to work, and I'm thinking it's a dirty energy source, because it's cheap. You're willing to just throw cheap out just so you can pollute the environment. I just don't get it. I just don't understand it.
I think that's a case of where our current president used his personal business practices to what he thought was the benefit of the coal workers, and this is backfired, where you cheap out, you cut regulations, you cut corners, hoping to get something done faster. And if it's done faster, doesn't necessarily mean it's done better, you know?
Yeah, maybe. And I mean, I understand that, if coal is a cheaper energy source than, creating wind turbines or solar panels or something else. I mean, I get why people say, well, we need to have that cheap energy, but at some point it's like, don't we have to make a decision whether or not we want a clean planet or not?
I think so. I mean, the planet, I think everyone saw that paid attention to somewhat of the good news we had during the middle of the pandemic, when the entire world was shut down for even a few weeks. They saw how much the world healed through the ozone layer, through emissions reductions. The water got cleaner. I mean, once we stopped moving and stopped just polluting everything, the world started to heal itself within a couple of weeks. It was actually very fast.
Yeah, I even heard that some of the places where they hadn't seen wild animals around in months or years were
Mm-hmm.
starting to come out of the woodwork, and they were being seen and out and about, and then of course, now we're talking about drilling in the Anwar up there in Alaska, and it's just like, what is it? Why is it's such a hard concept? And the other thing I don't understand too is, and maybe you have an answer for that, is from what I've read or have heard, that industries where they start building solar panels and solar panel technology, and when there are like millions of jobs available for
Yeah.
people, good paying jobs that'll be available to people who want to get into that industry.
Well, I think that was part of the Obama era, where they created a lot of green jobs like that and opportunities for people that wanted to create alternate energy sources.
Right.
And I've got a few friends in Colorado that I believe work in that field with turbines and whatever else. But really, you're absolutely right. It's if there's a more efficient, cleaner way to harness the natural energy, I think we should. I mean, I don't understand what the big deal is with coal. Yeah, it was great when we didn't know any better, but just because you can doesn't mean you should, especially as technology advances.
Well, and I think it's cheap. I mean, I think that's one of the big things, is that it's a cheap energy source. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't cost a lot to drill into a mountain, and uh, cheaper than some of the refineries and the oils and fuels that come out of the earth, where you have to have millions of dollars in infrastructure to drill it out. So I get the cheapness of it, but you're right. We've come far enough with technology that it seems like we wouldn't have to do that. And if you can pay a miner a good amount of money to mine, you could probably pay them the same amount of money to generate and build solar panels.
Yeah, absolutely.
uh, you know, and I don't know. I mean, I'm spitballing here, but these miners, you're putting your own health in jeopardy by being a miner. So
I got the
yeah,
black lung pop.
I think I got the black lung pop. So I mean, I'm thinking that it's not only a more clean energy, but it's also safer for your health.
Yeah.
So why do people fight that? I don't get it. I just don't understand.
Some people, and I'm finding this out, and I know I've done this too, just not in this general context. People don't like change, and sometimes they don't want to broaden their horizons to see what good the new technology can do until they actually have to use it and they realize they can't go back. And I say that, and I'll use a perfect example, not about energy, but just as someone stuck in their ways. I recently switched my parents over to my phone plan.
Okay.
For a price break, so they were due for new phones. So I upgraded their phones for them. We ported everything over from Sprint, T-Mobile to Verizon, and you would have thought that I ran over my dad's dog.
Oh, wow, really?
I mean, we ran into some issues with the porting of the numbers, and it took a little bit longer than anticipated. And for lack of better terms, tantrum that was thrown because he had to switch to something he didn't really want to do was mind-blowing. And then you realize how many people are like that when it comes to just they have to try and accept new things. Now that the phone's working, he's fine. now that he knows all the new cool things his phone can do that his old one wouldn't do, he's happy with it.
Yeah.
You had to stop and show him everything that it could do and that it would do. And once he got used to the idea and could see how it would benefit him, he was fine.
Well, a perfect example, we bought a house that had solar panels on it. I've never had a house with solar panels. So they were already there, so I didn't have to make a decision to put them on the house. But, most of these plans now are you just lease the solar panels, right? So you buy the house, you have to sign up for the lease, and then you get the technology and the savings. During our winter time, our electric bills are like $100 a month.
Yeah.
With these solar panels. And all I could think about is, we're still paying the lease, which is another 120. So we're about 200, 220, but we're running air conditioning all day, every day.
Well, those dogs got to stay cool, man. It's August in Phoenix.
Yeah, exactly. We set up our pool on it. We have lights on it, all of this stuff. And we're paying $200 a month. And not to mention that we're getting these green effects by having these solar panels. I'm totally open for finding new ways to be more green in the future. I mean, those solar panels are a total sell or buy to me. I would recommend that to anybody who's thinking about it.
Yeah, I know Tom had them in his old house in Tempe before he moved, and he was very happy with them, and they were a great selling point for him too.
Yeah,
when he sold his house, I mean that's a big deal, especially when you live in a place like you do, where it's sunny 300 days a year.
Right.
I mean that's a tremendous benefit for anyone living in that kind of environment.
Right. Well, and I look at Noreen's been looking at maybe buying a Tesla because
nice.
they're an energy car. I mean, they're electric cars, so they don't have the gas usage at all. And as more and more of these electric cars come out into the market, there's going to be more and more places to be able to plug in.
Yeah.
And so she's been doing research, and they're estimating that that these cars get like 100 miles. They call it 100 miles of a gallon, but it's not really a gallon. It's a charge. There's no gas at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking now, if we had 20 times the amount of cars like that in the next 50 years, that would make a difference.
Well, there was, I remember before the movies closed, back when we could go to movies, the movies here in Kingman would have like little clips of like scientific things kids were creating or scientists were working on in college, or science students. And one of the ideas on it that they would always talk about was a solar panel road that would replace the asphalt on the highways, that would collect the energy and distribute that and be able to charge the electric cars as they're driving on it too.
Yeah, I've heard about that. And actually, I was talking to Ricky, who we just saw recently, and he had read that someplace in like Norway, Belgium, someplace in there, they actually started doing that, not with the roads, but with the sidewalks.
Oh.
And I would have thought that would have been kind of dangerous for heat, but it sounds like that the way that they set them up for sidewalks for that same reason, where it captures all the solar energy and then they redistribute it.
Yeah, and I have to imagine those countries are pretty mild anyway, all things considered. I mean, that's probably more like, I don't want to say Pacific Northwest, but like Northern America type environments. Not talking like desert Southwest temps in August, So maybe it's more efficient.
Maybe.
Won't overheat there. Just the humidity's a bitch.
But I think I saw that same special, because wasn't that the one where they said that they could also use the roads to be able to give signals, like they could put messages on the road so that if there's an accident up ahead
that's exactly it. And I know you've seen that because you and I would go to the movies all the time with JP and Ralph when you lived here. So I know you've seen that little clip too.
Yeah, and I think that's the same one that I saw then.
Yeah, I know it is. I'm gonna say yes. That's an affirmative.
Well, there's a special called "The Brain of Bill Gates" or Bill Gates' Brain or something like Inside Bill Gates' Brain,
mm-hmm.
and his foundation basically is trying to solve the clean water problem around the world by creating portable water filtration systems that allow people in poorer countries to be able to get access to clean water to drink, wash their clothes, cook, and it's been so difficult. And the money that's been spent has been so difficult because you're creating something that is just, you need to have it something that's inexpensive to buy or give to these people, but also easy to maintain, easy to
Yeah.
use. And I think you kind of said it best, where it's like you have to get out of your comfort zone, get outside the box. And a lot of people just, think, oh, it's impossible. It can't happen.
No, anything's possible. That's the thing. It's like you have to look at all the possibilities. I read a book a little while ago about corporate workplace structure and overcoming your ego and in the workplace. And one of the biggest takeaways I got from it was the majority of people, when you try to give them a new idea, automatically say no. Instead of, they all say, no, we can't do it. This is why. And you have to train yourself to stop saying, no, we can't, and start training yourself to say, if we were to attempt it, how could we attempt it? And that's a very similar mindset you have to look at here. You have to look at, how are these things possible, and how can we make it possible, and how can I do my part to make it possible? Because it starts even on the smallest level, having a recycling program here in your community, solar panels on your house, not driving your car all the time and riding your bike to reduce emissions. Little things like that add up to going green as well.
Well, one of the big things that I've looked at recently after I started kind of contemplating whether we were going to do an episode on this was, how many of those plastic bags, plastic bottles that don't get recycled or don't get,
Stuck under someone's sink.
taken care of. Yeah. And basically they either get in the ocean or they get in the landfills. But I realized as I was doing the research on this that in order to make all those plastic bags and plastic bottles, there needs to be waste from oil refineries, because all the plastic is basically it's oil, the waste from the oil refinery process that gets turned into those plastics.
Yeah.
So if you're not making the plastic bags and plastic bottles, it doesn't change the fact that you have this oil waste that you still have to get rid of somehow.
Yeah. You know what I found is I watched one of those documentaries years ago, and I thought it was very interesting was, besides the oil byproduct that created plastic, what the other major piece of plastic is that most people don't realize? Corn. Corn is the basis of almost everything. Plastic-based, latex-based, everything. Rubber-based.
Really?
Yeah, corn.
So then, wouldn't corn, though, be biodegradable?
Well, in theory, before you add all the other chemicals to it.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
I mean, it's like, I don't say it's like the binding agent, but it's the base. Like you can grind it up and add chemicals to it, and it creates all these other things.
Interesting. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So if it was just corn, it might be something that's biodegradable, but because it's also
chemicaled up,
all these other chemicals that are added into it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, because we could be a lot greener if we were able to actually just use more things corn based and not have all the chemicals in it.
And I think that the hard part I have too is I don't know what to say to people who I talk to who think that it's a total hoax, right?
Yeah.
Global warming is total hoax. I don't even know what to say to the people. Like, I just don't even know how to respond.
Well, I think it's like anything else in the world today, where everyone's so hardline on their beliefs, you can't say them to anybody. Because God forbid you disagree with somebody, you're now in an argument. You can't have a civil disagreement.
Yeah, but there's some things that, I don't know. It just seems like there's some things that should be undebatable. Like us producing too much emissions into the sky should not be a debate. We shouldn't be saying, oh, well, we don't really put that much in our sky.
Yeah, but all that starts at the top. It starts at the top with our government and who they're putting in charge of these departments that oversee the EPA. Are these guys actually qualified, or are they just major donors? And we're in a phase right now where he who is most qualified does not become the head of the department for the government. It's he who gave the most money and wants a seat in the president's cabinet runs a certain department. They just have to have a general idea of what that is.
So what one or two things can you do right now, starting today, to be greener?
Well, I've already done it. I have a Nest in my house that tracks when I'm in the house and when I'm not, so it can adjust my energy usage.
Oh, okay.
And I try to carpool at work whenever possible.
Okay. All right.
You know,
All
my
right.
assistant and I take the same car. We don't worry about being in each other's bubbles anymore. It's what it is. We've been in the same. We've been working every day for the last 5 months, so it's whatever. You know. So yeah, we just try to share rides when we can, and I try to use the Nest as much as possible. What about you?
I've also not, and I've not driven as much. I only drive when I absolutely have to, which is not as much, which is good. We have the ability to recycle cans and paper goods and cardboard, so I make sure to recycle those. But we've also gotten in the habit of taking our bags, plastic bags, back to um, the grocery store where we got them. And I'm thinking about maybe switching to those paper, cloth bags or paper
Mm-hmm.
bags when I go grocery shopping, because I don't know, we get so much of that, and I know it's bad, and I still use them, and I shouldn't. And I think that's going to be the one I'm going to start doing. That's kind of outside of just recycling cans and stuff, is start using paper or cloth
Yeah,
bags.
I think the moral of the story is here today is do your part. I mean, hopefully the world's around for a long time or outlives all of us listening or recording today. But you guys have everyone's gonna have kids and grandkids and great grandkids and so on and so forth that need to have this planet in some kind of decent shape. And we've really taken a toll on this planet over the last 120 years. So it's worthwhile to stop and figure out how you can just be even a little bit greener.
Yeah. I think also too, like you said it earlier, that it shows that if we make some steps now, our planet can recover pretty
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah, it's amazing.
Like, I mean, like you said, like the smog was less and the emissions were less and the ozone repaired itself. And so just making those changes it won't take very long to turn things around. And those steps can come back pretty quickly, which is a positive, because if we ever get to the point where we can't come back, the world's just so destroyed that we can't come back, then we got bigger
Yeah, we're
problems.
dead anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, pretty much.
on that
So
note, let's
yeah,
talk about something
anything good
happier
going on in
as
your
we wrap up the show.
yeah, anything good going on in your life, buddy?
Yeah, actually, man, it's a good week. I got a lot of good things going on these days. As the
Good.
worm turns in life, there's peaks and valleys. I am currently climbing a peak, so my life is very good right now. So I can't argue with that. I have a wonderful woman I've been seeing, and it's going very well, and I'm able to laugh
Oh,
with her.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
you've met her, and she's pretty great, so that's fun.
That's awesome.
It's the jokes that I can make at her and with her, and vice versa. It goes a long way. But
Oh, sweet.
on top of that, some great local community news. We have a local boy who is now in the starting rotation for the Detroit Tigers Major League Baseball team.
Oh my gosh.
So
Who?
his name is Tarek Skubal. We used to work with his mom way back in the day. The kid is a byproduct of Kingman. He is a flame throwing left hander, and if anyone that follows baseball doesn't follow baseball, left handers are hard to come by that are good pitchers. A hard throwing left hander that can get up to 99 miles an hour with their fastball is rare. So
I know Laura Scooble. Her son is, oh my gosh, it's been a long time then. He's that old.
yeah, he's 23 years old. As we record this because of your vacation, I think we're a week behind. So we're recording this
Yeah.
on Tuesday. It's the 16th today.
Yeah,
So
16th. No, today's Monday the 18th.
Monday the 18th. So uh, Tuesday the 19th, he is making his major league debut, starting for the Detroit Tigers against the Chicago White Sox. I have a friend who grew up with him that I work out with that is literally, as we speak, on his way to Vegas to hop a flight to Chicago to just go be in the same town as his best friend, because they made a pact that when he made it to the majors, no matter what, they'd be in the stands. Well, as it stands, there are no fans this season. So he's going to the team hotel. He's got special permissions to go see his friend from a distance and just, support him. So congratulations, Tarek. Good luck. I can tell you the entire community of Kingman is behind you. It's cool to see this.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's some really good news.
And
I'm glad you added
and
that.
what's really cool is actually, again, the guy he graduated with, his first name escapes me, but his last name's File, is one of the top prospects for the Milwaukee Brewers. And he should be making his major league debut in the not too distant future as well. So we could have two Kingman boys in starting rotations for two Major League Baseball teams this season.
Is that the son of Mike File?
Maybe.
Mike File's superintendent of schools for a while.
It might be him. It might be. I mean, the kid be on the same age.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my God, dude, that's exciting. That is exciting.
I mean, it is. It's very exciting to see local boys do good. We have so many kids that do well in life, and you just don't hear about it. But these guys are doing something on a national level. And a lot of people say sports isn't an important thing in today's world, but I tend to disagree. Because no matter what happens with politics, sports is a binder for our communities. It gives us something to rally around, something to look at together and be supportive of with each other and set our differences aside to support individuals that are from here or teams that are local,
Yeah, I think everyone is inspired by a story where a kid just from a regular town, regular family, achieves something great just through hard work, determination, good, upbringing and love from their parents. And it's exciting. It really is exciting people can be moved by that story. So I wish that kid a lot of luck. I might have to watch tomorrow.
Yeah. So. I know I'll be tuning in. I'm not necessarily a Tigers or a White Sox fan, but I've been reading about this kid for years because every time they write about him from the Chicago beat writers, his buddy that I work out with always posted on Facebook. So I've been following his progression through the minor leagues pretty regularly. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this kid can do because just based on the videos I've seen of him pitching, it's going to be a good day.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have anything exciting like that other than I get to talk to my good pal, Scott.
Hey, man, you're always the highlight of my week, so I can't argue with that. You're an engaged man now, so you have a lot of good things going in your life, too.
That's right. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm like you. I'm going up a peak, and I frankly have been on a peak for the last couple of years. I feel like, I'm just hitting good strides and things are going the way that I would have hoped and wanted them to. So when you have life like that, it's hard to take you down.
You have to appreciate it. So,
yep, exactly.
As we wrap up the show today, why don't you tell us about a way you can go green or just something good about your life right now? Because there's not a lot of good going on in the world. So something positive about you going on with your world. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage. Give Tom, our EP, some tips of things to do in Denver as Colorado is slowly opening up. Hit him up on Twitter and Instagram at liquid_EP.
Yeah. Well, hey, everyone. Thanks for listening. That was an awesome discussion, Scott. As usual, always have good fun with you, buddy.
Absolutely, dude.
All right. Well, hey, everyone. Thanks for listening. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Carnage.
Peace.